What's up, guys? Welcome back. So we're going to talk about some things. We're going to do a little bit of talking today. So I want to talk to you about the last couple days. I've been struggling a little bit, and that's why I haven't made a video. So I did upload the video of this car a couple days ago. If you guys haven't seen it, this is a 1979 Fox Body Mustang. It's already set up for LS swap, and this is going to be kind of the new project on the channel coming up here once I get this thing rolling. But that is where my struggle is coming in, and we're going to talk about it a little bit. So as you can see, I don't know if you caught that, I now have 4 different ECUs here. So if you're following before, I did have a computer that was tuner locked, and I think it was this one here was locked. So took a chance on it, even though it says it's locked, and it was locked. So I ended up using this one here and got it started running. Everything was fine. And then what I tried to do the other day, I got everything behind the garage. I got everything behind the car cleaned up. So because the car was sitting for a while, I had like a few sets of tires and a bunch of other stuff just sitting behind the car. So I got that stuff all out of the way in the driveway, and what I was going to do was back the car out, put the hood back on it, and then I was planning on going to drive it, because I started it and ran it and everything idled. Seemed like it was idling fine. It was a little bit lean, but didn't really think too much of it. And basically once I got it out, backed halfway out into the road, I found that it was lean enough that as soon as I would blip the throttle a little bit, it would pretty much die. It didn't have any power. So I was able to get it back up the driveway into the garage by starting it, and then during the initial startup flare, I would ride the clutch up the driveway, and that's how I got it back in. So the tune definitely needed some work, and I was having some issues with it. So it seems like some pretty basic adjustments that I would need to make, change some fuel and mess with the airflow a little bit. But the problem that I had when I was in the middle of the driveway, I wasn't able to read or write or scan or do anything with the computer. Keep in mind, I had just been scanning my truck like 2 hours before this. So I was just out, I was scanning the truck, reading, writing, scanning, everything was working fine. I took it out of the truck, came to start working on the car, and then all of a sudden at one point nothing would work inside the car. And I thought it was maybe a car issue or something like that, because of course it was working in the truck. I took it back out to the truck, and then all of a sudden nothing would work in the truck. I couldn't read the file, I couldn't write the file, I couldn't scan. It wouldn't even let me open the file that I had just saved a couple hours before that. So I have no idea what happened there. The only thing I can think of is that I did do an HP Tuners update, which was a big mistake, like a week ago, and I think something has to do, I think it has something to do with that update. And what I ended up finding was that I needed to resync the interface. So if you're looking at the HP Tuners menu and the help menu, you can scroll down and it says resync interface. So I was able to do that, resync it, and then it worked. But the problem I was having after that was I would have to resync every single time that I would write something, especially if I was using the scanner. So if I would check the idle, because I was doing idle adjustments here, I would check the scanner, check everything, go to read or write a new file, like make some changes, try to write something. I would have to go resync it, which basically I would have to, so I would try to resync it. I would have to make sure it was disconnected from the car. I would try to resync it. It wouldn't resync. I'd unplug the USB from the computer, plug it back in, then resync, and it would resync, plug it back into the car, and then I could write a new file. So that was really a freaking headache, and I hope it doesn't continue to do that, but that's kind of where I'm at right now, and that's what was happening. This is getting kind of long, but I'm telling you everything. So in the driveway, when I backed it out and it was stuck in the road, and I got it up back into the driveway, I knew it was lean, so I added fuel. And when I added fuel, it was like revving up to like 2,500, 3,000 RPM. And it was just stuck there. It wouldn't do anything. When I started to add fuel and I got the fuel kind of right where it needed to be, it was revving really freaking high. So I started to mess with some throttle adjustments, some airflow adjustments, trying to bring the airflow back down, blah, 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 blah. And was not able to get anything to work for probably like 2 or 3 hours. It just wasn't making any changes. So what I did was I went to go reference a file from the Sloppy Mechanics tune cabinet, and I wanted to just kind of compare some tables. And when I was comparing the tables, I got lazy, and I decided to do a right entire from that file, like license the file, write the whole thing in, and that's what messed up my computer. And I just gave you a hint. I messed up the computer. So that's why I have 4 of them, because I went to the junkyard today and I picked up 2 extra ones just in case I mess it up again. So what I didn't know, and I ended up messaging Matt, I talked to him about this, and he told me that the E38s, or something weird with the E38s, that the right entire isn't really like a complete right entire, and you have to have a matching OS number, matching year, all that stuff. So like with my P59 in the Ranger, when I wanted to go to the Flex tune, I didn't have a Flex enabled ECU. So what I did was I wrote a 3-bar Flex enabled file, right entire, right over the top of it, and then it took it and everything's fine. So what's happening here is there's something that's going on between the different operating systems and the years, that it needs to be identical, it needs to match, or you can't do a right entire. Basically, I did the right entire over it. It took the file, it changed it, it started and it ran. However, I can't make any other changes after that. So basically, the computer's junk, not working. I mean, it'll run it, but it's not right. I can't change it. So what I'm going to do is not do that again, and I'm going to start with a fresh computer and just do the copying. So don't be lazy. That's what I did. I just got lazy, and instead of copying over the tables that I wanted and like just referencing it and using what I needed to in copying it over, I just tried to write the whole damn thing and it didn't work. Still with me or not? Alright guys, I think I might have figured out what my issue is. Part of it, you can see I have the intake pipe off. So I'm going to give it a start and we'll see what it does. And then I think it's going to idle decent. And then I'll start to put this thing on and it's going to rev super high. Okay, I lied to you. That's not what it is. Alright, so I thought I had it figured out there because it was idling really high, and then I ended up pulling the intake pipe off and I ran it again and it idled perfect at like 900. But then when you saw in the last video, it did the same thing. It idled up and revved really high and just sat there. So what I was thinking was there was, positive pressure in the intake pipe from the turbos with no blow-off valve. Vacuum is opening the blow-off valve, and then it's just pulling in, non-pressurized air. So I pulled that off. It seemed like it worked fine. Tried to show you guys on the video, and then it just revved high, ridiculously high again. So we ended up going for a walk, and I thought about it a little bit more. And what I'm thinking now, what I want to try now is flipping this throttle body blade back the other way. So you can see the little scuff mark in it. When I got this thing, the 102 millimeter and all the writing on it, there's some other writing up on the top, it was actually upside down for the way that I wanted to put it on here. And I'm pretty sure they're supposed to be on this side, but the blade was upside down. So what I'm thinking now is maybe me flipping this thing around might be causing me a problem where I have excessive air gap on the bottom and it's really tight on the top and like it's scraping the top. So the issue that I'm seeing is when I'm pulling airflow out of this, so the desired airflow is at like 1.7% because I pulled a ton of airflow out of it, but I'm thinking maybe it's binding and it's still only able to come down to a minimum of 20%, which should be okay. I think it should probably idle around 25 to 27% throttle position because it's acting like the idle air motor. So it should be open a little bit to let some air in, but maybe this gap is too big. That was kind of a long explanation. I'm gonna flip this frickin' thing over and then try it again. All right, so here is the throttle blade opening before I change it back. Let me try to get a good angle. See, there's a lot of area around it. There we go. There's a lot of area all the way around that. So let's see if when I flip it back around, it closes that gap up. All right, guys, so I'm pretty sure that was my issue. I don't think it'll make it any worse. So I spun this back around. You can see how all the lettering and everything is upside down on there, even though the throttle body plug is on this side. So I feel like that's backwards. That's why I flipped it around. But look at the difference now. When I can close this thing, it'll actually close completely into place. And I think the most telling part of it is when I flip it at this angle and I close it, you can see those marks on there, right there. That's where it was binding and it was actually catching before. So I'm sure it was trying to close the throttle position farther than it was actually at. It's trying to close it more and it was just catching and binding. But now it moves freely to this position, like completely closed. So we're gonna try that. I'm probably sure that's what it was. All right, guys, so this is about to be the maiden voyage here. I'm gonna try to take it out and we'll see how it goes. I did a couple more changes, so basically I can talk about that if I didn't clarify that good enough before. The throttle body blade inside there, the letters are actually machined like upside down on it. So when I first got it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna fix this. It was probably just put in there assembled wrong. So when I took the screws out of it, because I was gonna put red Loctite on the screws anyways, because that's a good idea on the Chinese throttle bodies, the bolts will fall out and get sucked through the engine. So I was gonna take the bolts out anyways to put red Loctite on them. And while I took those out, I just spun that throttle body blade around and then red Loctited it shut. And that ended up being my issue. So now I'm actually able to get it to idle a little bit lower. I added 20% fuel back to it because it was really lean, and now it's idling around like a 13.5. So I'm gonna go try to drive it. I'm gonna put my seatbelt on and get the scanner going. I did take some time the other day to set my wideband up so I can actually log my wideband in here. So I had to trace all the wires and find the data cable. I'm just gonna make sure it actually scans everything. And let's give it a whirl. temp because I don't have a fan on the radiator right now. Definitely a idle hang, and I change gears, but we'll get it worked out. Alright guys, so we're back with the UnFairlady, and she was very unfair to me the last couple weeks. So I did struggle with a lot of stuff on here. Just a bunch of little piddly stuff just took a lot longer than it needed to. And like fitting the bumper, trying to get all that stuff done, that took several hours to try to get it right, and positioning the lights. And I mean, I made the bracket here for it, but this bumper, I talked about this on the Facebook page. This bumper is like a polyurethane, like rubber type bumper, and it's very flexible and it sags a lot. So if you see in the walk around, there's like a huge gap in here. So I'm gonna have to probably add some additional supports and raise this whole thing up, try to get it aligned a little bit better. But it's also basically sagging down. The holes here, they're kind of like stretched out, and it's just sagging, it just hangs. So kind of looks a little bit crappy, but anyways, we're driving it now. So the first drive I feel like went pretty well. I have a lot to learn with the E38 computer, and this is the first time I've ever done drive-by-wire, throttle body, and there's just quite a bit of stuff that's different than like a P01 or P59 that I'm used to with the truck. So a lot to learn and excited to learn it, but I'm sure I'm going to keep messing up some more stuff. But I feel like I learned a lot just over the last couple days with bricking the computer and dealing with some of the throttle body stuff and putting this thing upside down. And I got to a point where I was almost able to actually tune that problem completely out of it, because it did have the high idle, and I was able to get the idle down to like 1500 RPM with the thing upside down, with it basically stuck open at like 30-something% throttle position. So yeah, not really great. So just got to work on the drivability and like the throttle area. I was playing with stuff like that, so was able to get it down to where it's not really still high revving when I put it in neutral or shift it. So I think what I want to do is, I still want to put the blow-off valve on. I wasn't going to do it for a little while, but I'm going to put the blow-off valve on. I think it's still pushing a lot of air through, because I tested this while it was running with it off, and it does move a lot of air. So I'm thinking maybe with the throttle position, it is still pushing a lot more air through. I don't know. Maybe that's doesn't really make sense. But throttle position is still stuck on the scan at like 12%, even though it's commanding like 2%, because I'm trying to pull so much airflow out of it. So just been trying to do some tweaks, play with some stuff. I got the air-fuel ratio okay, but then I made a throttle area change and kind of whacked it out again, but it wasn't anything that wasn't manageable or drivable. So one other issue I did have when I was driving the car that I noticed is there's a severe driveline vibration. So the drive shaft is a little bit short, which I'm gonna try to figure that out. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet, but I think the drive shaft's a little bit short. There's a lot of stick out on the output shaft, so the shaft on the transmission, the front yoke. So I'm going to figure that out, but basically anything over like 40, 45 miles an hour, it was vibrating a lot, especially when I would push the clutch in and be like coasting. If I would be in 5th, 6th gear, push the clutch in and start coasting, it would vibrate a lot until I put some load on it, and like so much that I could see the side mirrors actually vibrating in the car. So it's a lot. I didn't drive it over 50 miles an hour because of the vibration. So I don't know if I need to get a different drive shaft. I'm going to probably do something different with it, get it longer. I know everything is tight. Went through and verified everything, but that's definitely an issue. So I don't really know what else I want to talk about in this video. So I do still have to do like the AC lines. So I think what my plan is for this weekend is just leave this thing. We have track day tomorrow, so I'm gonna go in, edit this video tonight, go for a walk with the family, go to the zoo tomorrow, take the kids to the zoo, and then go to the track at night, probably like 5 o'clock. We're gonna go to the track tomorrow, try to get this 10-second pass in the Ranger, and I think I can get it with just shift points shifting earlier. I think I can get it there, but might turn the boost up a little bit. But my concern right now is that truck is now my daily driver. So a couple guys noticed and they were asking me about it, like, where's the Explorer? I did end up getting rid of the Explorer when I brought this yellow turd home. This little guy here, the banana notch. I don't know what I want to name this thing yet, but so once I brought that thing home, I needed some more room around here. So what I'm going to do is I got rid of the Explorer. That thing's already gone, and I'm going to daily drive the Ranger. Ranger's going to be the daily driver, but I do still want to get the 10-second pass with it. So I feel pretty comfortable with where it's at right now, that I'm not really going to hurt anything. I feel like the tune is still pretty conservative. I did buy another set of spark plugs, so what I'm going to do is at the track, I'm going to change like the 5 and 7 or the 7 and 8 spark plugs with fresh ones right before I do a pass, and then I'm going to do a pass, shut it down, and check the timing on the plug. So I'm getting a bunch of knock on my scan, which I don't know if it's real knock because I'm on like E70, 70% ethanol, and it shouldn't be knocking at that point, but I want to verify it with the plug. So I'm going to look at the plugs. The plugs are really old. It's kind of hard to see the timing line on the strap right now. I did try to test it the other day, like do a street pull and look at the mark, just shut it off and look at the mark, but it didn't really work because the plugs are kind of, you know, dirty and doesn't really show very well. So that's the plan with the truck. Tomorrow we're going to go to the track, switch out the plugs, do a couple pulls, try to get 10-second pass. Then after that, I think what I'm going to do is just make that my daily driver. Probably put like a full exhaust on it with a loud valve, and try to hook the narrow bands back up and just daily drive it. Leave it on like maybe 10-12 pounds, and it should be an animal anyways for our daily driver. So then we're gonna push this thing out to the road, leave it sit there, and I'm gonna clean the garage up because this is done, pretty close to done. All I wanna do yet is really finish up the AC lines and maybe clean up some of the wiring. So I know the wiring's actually pretty good already compared to, you know, what I usually do, but probably just wanna, you know, maybe do some ties, zip ties or something like that, and just kind of try to clean stuff up. And it's going to be just, you know, drivability tuning, and then we'll get it to the track one of these days and just try to do some wide open stuff. I'm not really expecting much out of this car. I don't really have a goal for a time or try to make it go super fast. I just want it to be something that we can hop in and drive it. That's really the plan. So, and then sell it eventually. I'm not going to keep this for very long. I'll probably have it for less than a year. So I enjoy doing the build. We just want to enjoy it, drive it for a little while, then probably sell this and then do something different, get a different daily and focus on that or something. Not really sure. But this isn't going to be, I don't think this is going to be something that we're going to keep around for a whole lot of time, because I like to work on stuff, I like to build stuff, and I like to do a lot of different stuff. So I don't know if you guys caught that already, but we're just having fun. Yeah, AC lines, that's going to be the big thing. Want to have heat and AC. Right now I just have the heater hoses looped and the AC line's not done. So once we get that stuff done and then, you know, fix this bumper, I might buy a different bumper. I don't know. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the rambling and kind of a long video and a lot of explanations. So we got a lot of things happening. This project is nearing the end. The Ranger is kind of nearing its goal that I had for it originally. And then we got a new turd sitting ready to go, and we're going to keep working on that stuff too. So that one will be a little bit of a change of direction with the channel, because these were kind of a little bit different. This one, I want to kind of make it more of a race car. So let me know what you guys think. It seems like you guys are really excited about the yellow car. Let me know how you feel about it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.